Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. Today I have Keith Fulawka. Did I say it right?
Yeah, close enough.
Okay.
Almost.
How do you say it?
Fulawka.
Fulawka. I have Keith here today, and we thought it would be interesting for you guys to hear a little bit of Keith's story of teaching, and then we're going to get into a little bit of the top 3 poses that is the most misunderstood in Keith's opinion in his class of 26 and 2 that he teaches. So Keith, you started teaching at the very beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
And you taught 2 live classes, and then what happened?
And then COVID.
Yeah.
COVID. I did my teacher training in February, got 2 classes in here. I was actually just subbing for Johnny. And yeah, boom, COVID. So since then I've just been on the camera.
Yeah.
What an interesting time that's been.
Yeah.
To not really have students in the classroom, to have them back and then taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting. What a learning curve. I never did any of that in my training.
Yeah,
How to teach on a camera?
No one teaches us how to teach to a camera in any yoga teacher training, although it's going to be coming up in mine and Joe's Fire Week teacher training. So well done for you to go from being a brand new teacher to teaching to the camera. So we wanted to talk to you guys today about the top 3 poses that in Keith's opinion, and there's one pose that we share in this, that are the most misunderstood by students coming to his practice of 26 and 2. Okay, Keith, why don't you show us pose number 1 that is most misunderstood by students coming to your class?
Okay, but before I do that, I want to put out a disclaimer. There's lots of lineages of yoga. There's lots of different types, and I've studied one. I've dedicated my life to the 26 and 2 Vishnu Ghosh, aka Bikram, aka 26 and 2. So when I say misunderstood, this is for our lineage, just our lineage. So the number 1 pose, I think, would be standing head to knee. And the reason for that is because it's the standing lock leg that we're looking for. Anything after that, if we break down the pose, number 1, standing, lock the leg, lock the leg. So as soon as you can lock that leg for a minute, then you can move on. Because you'll have the strength in that leg to be able to bend forward. Number 1, it's a balancing pose. Number 2, it's then forward rounding. So once you have that leg locked for a minute, that's where you want to stand. You'll never be able to kick out without that leg locked. I see a lot of bending, I see a lot of wobbling. They're not ready. They're not ready. To be able to send the message from your brain to your leg for 1 minute, lock that leg, lock that leg. Lock that leg. It's miraculous. It's a feat in itself. So that's my number 1 tip. If your leg is not locked for that whole minute and you bend down and that knee wobbles and it bends, back off.
So Keith, what would you suggest people do if they're not quite at that locking leg stage? They don't have the strength in the leg. What do you suggest they do?
For locking the leg, continuously send that message. Number 1, it's going to start with your head. Lock the leg. Lock the leg, lock the leg. Once they can balance a little bit, even if they just pull it up here, this is the start. Because one day you'll then be able to grab the foot. From there you'll be able to round down.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to kick up. But you have to lock that leg first. You have to have that control. Other than that, you'll never get that kicking leg locked.
So the second posture, in your opinion, in your lineage, that is misunderstood by people is what?
Triangle.
Yes.
Triangle.
And I would echo that in vinyasa.
Yeah, easily. To start, a lot of the times I see with triangle, they don't take a big enough step. Big enough step. When you turn that foot and you come down nice and low, you want that knee over the ankle. So number 1, if you break down again this pose, it's hips opening. We have 2 postures in the 26 and 2 for hip opening. This is one of them. So when you're down, it's the hips that allow you to come down. Number 1, I don't see a big enough step. Number 2, a lot of the time when I say windmill the arms, I see a lot of this, which is like a big curve in here, which is not really what I'm looking for. When I say windmill the arms, just the arms. Now you can sink that elbow into the knee. You should see 3 triangles overall when you're down here. Number 1, one triangle. right angle triangle. Number 2 would be in here, another triangle. Number 3, from my left hand to my right hand to my left foot, triangle. There. I see a lot of this. I see a lot of weird things. But it's the hip opening that we're looking for. When we get down and you windmill the arms and the elbow sinks down in front of the knee, you then want that knee elbow to push that knee back. That's what we're looking for. This is it. This is what the pose is technically about. Everything else.
And Keith, what if somebody can't get that low in their hips because of limitations in the hips?
Limitations. 1% correctly equals 99%, 100% benefits. 99% wrong, no benefits. So if you're working on a step here, okay, that's correct. Right there, that's it. You're 1% correctly. Next day it'll be here. Next day with here. Over a continuous practice, every day, same movements, same 26 and 2. That's why we do it every day the same, because you'll be able to see your improvement quickly.
Can I add one thing to this? I'm going to use the pointer just so that I don't have to come in contact with Keith. But okay, come into the pose. Yeah. And now let your head drop, like sag. Let your head just drop down. Yes. So in our practice of vinyasa, he's going to tap the top of his head. So the head, it's the abdominals that actually keep the head, the weight of the head up, right? Yeah. And so you want to lift your head, and in this lineage, in this practice, you're going to turn to look up to that top hand. And if you can't do that because the abdominals just don't have the strength, you can, in my practice anyways, you can look down. You can look down to the floor until you have the strength to look up, because it takes a lot of core strength.
Yeah, you're strengthening the sides of the spine on each side and the abdominals.
Yeah.
And that's the second part of that posture. Number 1 is hips, number 2 is spine and abs. That's what'll keep you up, for sure. It's a tricky one. Yeah, it is. Definitely.
Yeah. And the third and final pose, Keith, that you think people could learn a little bit more about is what?
I believe tree. And the reason I say tree is because there's, as a studio with so many different lineages, everyone kind of just weaves between the classes, and so they might not really understand why we do our tree that way. It's all about intention for the postures, right? Whatever you're intending to do is what you're going to get done, right? So if you don't come into class knowing what our tree is about, then yeah, okay, this is number 1, it's balance. Tree's about balance, number 1, standing again on that locked leg. In our lineage, number 2 is about hip opening. I said before, we have 2 postures in the 26 and 2 for hip opening. Number 1, triangle. Number 2 is tree, as I sway like trees. So I think that's one of the biggest things that's misunderstood is not knowing that it's about the hips. When we stand on that solid leg, and we bring the foot up to where it feels comfortable, slowly, gently, that knee comes down. As again, I sway, it's early. Sole the foot to the ceiling. We're pushing that knee to the back. If you can tighten your glute, you're gonna feel that front stretch. So tighten glute, hip opens, standing leg engaged. That's what our tree's about. Again, 2 postures to open those hips. It's not much, right? Out of how many postures that we do in our lineage, they take those 2. It's for a reason. Everything in that beginner class then will expand into the full 84 class.
Which you had just started teaching. I think you had 2 Sundays, 2 or 3 Sundays, and then of course we got caught up in another lockdown. So on the other side of this, whatever that means, whatever that looks like, we look forward to you teaching that expanded series beyond the 26 poses and teaching people and growing them towards the 84.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.